word. Amanda, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it, and looking forward to hearing about your experience and your expertise. I've got a few questions right here, and just want to hear who you are, what you do, why you're great, and just what you bring to the table in the real estate world. Sound good?
Sounds good. Hopefully I can encapsulate all I want to say in this amount of time and it comes across, but I'm excited. Yeah, hit me with those
Yeah,
questions.
it's a challenge. So first off, just tell me what makes you stand out amongst your peers. What makes you a great agent?
And I kind of wrote to the effect of this, but there's a lot of really good agents out there. There's a lot of people who are educated about the market. They're up to date on all their, licensing. They've taken all the above and beyond courses. And while I've done that, and so I think that ranks me as a good agent, what puts me above even those agents as far as, we're all the same when it comes to getting licensed, but it's how much I really care. So kind of a little backstory of how I got into this is I really wanted to go into a service industry. So I didn't want to go into the sales. I didn't want to go into, just a marketing job, anything like that. I wanted to go into a service one. And so I really kind of fell into real estate because of our realtor that was helping us. And they really kind of took the time to explain everything and educate. And this is when I was younger. This is when I was going through it with my parents. And so I feel like that's what really sets me apart is I'm here to educate you. So when you're done with the real estate transaction, I want you to know as much as I do about that real estate transaction so that you're comfortable. Because when you're going into something, especially something where you're making one of the biggest investments of your life, the unknown is what's scary. But when you know what's coming next and you've been educated along the way, if there is a little hiccup or a little bump in the road, because every transaction is different and I can't promise that it's going to go perfectly smooth every time. But if you know it and hey, these are the 3 steps we can take if this happens, then that's where I really think, I'm a cut above there, because I'm not just going to leave you in the dark and say like, hey, don't worry, I got it taken care of. Because I do, but I want to tell you why I have it taken care of. And so that's what I always harp on and what I always iterate to my clients is there's never a dumb question. There's never too many questions because that's my job. I'm not here to just open doors for you. I'm here to educate you and hopefully educate you for the future too. Like going into it, hey, let's make sure we get you on your homestead exemption. Let's make sure if it's a good time to refinance. I want to be there every step of the way as you own this home to make sure not only are you making a good financial investment and, building equity for the future, you're also helping yourself in the future and just making sure that the homeowner today, you're also just as educated in 5 years, 10 years, however long you're in that house. So like I said, education is really huge to me. My mom was a teacher. I think, everyone needs to be educated no matter what industry. And then just also, it's not a paycheck for me. If we're looking at houses and there's 3 houses, I'm not gonna be like, all right, well, pick from those 3. This is house hunters. You're done. I will show you as many houses and I will show you, especially being relocation, I'll show the good, bad, and the ugly. I'll point out all the bad things about a house because at the end of the day, you're going to have to live there and you're going to have to be okay with those. And I think it's not about a sell for me. It's about putting you in the right house for you and knowing, what those issues are, if there are any, and if they're arise in the future and how we're going to handle them even before we get under contract. Hey, if we need to get a contractor out there, if we need quotes, whatever it is, let's make sure that you're comfortable before going into it. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's not about finding just any old house. It's about finding the house that fits right for you and your needs going forward.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. That's a wonderful answer. I'm sure plenty of your past clients appreciate you taking the time and making the extra effort. And I'm sure it certainly makes a difference because there's a lot of knowledge that goes into these transactions. So yes. And well, so the next question I have for you is just briefly describe your most challenging real estate experience and what you did to resolve it, please.
This one's a doozy. So I'll try to not go on for forever because it was like a 92-day transaction with so many things that went wrong in between. And not even on my buyer side, just really difficult things. So I had clients who were moving here from Canada. And first of all, we had to get husband had dual citizenship, wife didn't. So we had to try to figure that out. And then and I don't want to get too much in personal information, but they had finances coming in from different unique ways. And so as far as trying to get them through that high financing hurdle, I had, unfortunately, the lender they were set up with kept promising and promising and promising, and we would get to another step in the, in the road, and he'd be like, well, I need another week, or I need another week here. And it just kept going on and on. And so, we had to make some really tough decisions to switch lenders in between, which prolonged the process. And they didn't know what was happening because they were up in Canada. They hadn't even seen the house in person. So really just, again, communication was key, because 92 days worth of stress on their end, it could have made or break the deal. And honestly, at the end of the transaction, I mean, we had to find them a mobile notary that they could drive into the United States to sign. It was one step after the other. And I'm going to be completely honest. I was almost embarrassed to call them the weeks following, because normally I follow up. I follow a week after, a month after, just to make sure everything's going okay. You don't need anything. I was almost embarrassed to follow up because it was that bad of a transaction. And I know on my end, I did everything in my power to make it happen. But it just wasn't a good experience all the way around. And like I said, I didn't want to follow up. And I'm telling you, it's really funny because I'm actually listing that house for them right now, because I decided, you know what, I'm going to follow up, because I know I did everything I could have. And they were like, no, it wasn't you. Like, we love you. They did the best reviews ever for me, because they knew all the hurdles. And they said, you're the only person. The lender wouldn't call us. They wouldn't answer our phone calls. We would call you. And it wasn't even answers you had, because you're not the lender, but you were like, don't worry, I'll get them for you. And that's what they really respected, is that no matter how tough the phone call was, I always made it to them. I mean, 2 days before closing, I had to call them and say, hey, look, the lender just called me and said, you're not going to obtain financing. We're gonna have to go a different route. And that's a heartbreaking phone call to make on my end, but I'm not scared to make those phone calls, because I know that the clients trust me, because again, the education part, right? I mean, I'm going to educate them. I'm going to make those hard phone calls. I'm going to make sure that they know everything that's happening, so that when I do make that call, they trust me to say, you know what, fine. Okay, we're not obtaining financing here. Let's go a different route. We still want you to help us. And so that was not only the hardest transaction I've done, but it also was the most rewarding, because I knew that through all those trials and tribulations, the clients still trusted me. So I knew that, the way I do real estate versus the way other people practice real estate, I know I'm on the right path with just being open and honest and making sure that they know as much information as I know at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, I think taking the most challenging experience, right, and taking care of the client, and then having that client trust you and come back and work with you on the back end again, I think that tells you all you need to know, that you're obviously a great agent. And even though it may have been a little uncomfortable, good for following up, and you took care of them, and they recognize that. So awesome. Kudos to you. Got a little under 2 minutes here. Last question. Just describe another time you went above and beyond on a client's behalf, because I think that one counts, but tell me a little bit more.
Oh boy. I mean, I can kind of name a few, because that obviously was one where you really had to. But in today's market, I'm going to use a really recent example. Is we have relocation clients that I'm working with right now that they knew they wanted to be in San Antonio, and that's about it. They're like, okay, San Antonio, find me a good house. And I'm like, well, there's a lot more to San Antonio than that. So, there's different areas, there's different school districts, there's, just what's your lifestyle? Do you want more rural? Do you want city? And so I won't ramble too much, but, just really driving around and taking videos and sending them neighborhood guides, and just really trying to help them find the right area for them and their family. I will tell you, a lot of time in my car, but it's worth it, because you don't want to put someone in a neighborhood that you think's good for them, but it's really not the right fit. So just, again, finding something that fits the client's lifestyle is something I'm huge with, because I know I'm a mom, I have 3 kids, I have dogs, we need a little bit of space. but that's not for everyone. So I really try to hone in on what your needs are and then finding the best place for you. So like I said, I mean, I drove around for months just filming areas and neighborhoods just so that they would feel comfortable making that offer, sight unseen, because a lot of people are right now, especially in this market. And that's really where recently I think I've gone above and beyond and really tried to make that happen for them, to where they love the house, love the area, but love the community too, because that was really important to them.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. That's a great answer. You were showing whole neighborhoods before you even bothered with houses. So
Yeah.
that says a lot. And again, I'm sure those clients absolutely appreciated that effort. That's phenomenal.
Well, you
And
can have a great house in a terrible neighborhood, and I know that. So we got to make sure we get the whole package for them.
yes, ma'am. Well, I'm sure they appreciate that. Amanda, it's great chatting with you. I certainly appreciate your time, and I look forward to touching base with you again in the future. But for today, I'm gonna wrap this one up, and please enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
All right. Thank you, Blake.
Yes, ma'am. Bye bye.